Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you a few new fragrances that I tried. I think that they're relatively new. Two I think are like basically hot off the press and two have been around for a little bit, but I can't wait to share with you my thoughts, tell you whether I think they're full bottle worthy. And before we get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird and Wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first fragrance that I tried was the new ESCADA fragrance called Santorini Sunrise. I always enjoy trying the new ESCADA fragrances. Sometimes, like, I just have good memories of them. So way back in the day, I got Rock in Rio, so did my sister, and we were like, I don't know, just barely 30, and we loved that fragrance. We wore it all the time. It was the fragrance for the summer, and it just felt like a party at a bottle. So loved Rock in Rio. I think it had some mango in it. I'm not sure, I can't remember, but it was so juicy, so delicious. But really, since Rock in Rio, every ESCADA fragrance I try just lets me down. It's just not quite the same. I definitely prefer when the ESCADA fragrances lean a little bit more tropical. So you get a little bit more of that, like, you know, tropical fruits or whatever. They're always fruity, juicy. Sometimes they lean towards cherry blossoms, so they've done that a few times. They'll put cherry in and make kind of a sangria type fragrance. They'll do some fresh things. You know, they've run the gamut. So you can always count on an ESCADA fragrance to be like, you know, juicy, happy, vibrant, kind of celebratory. They're never too heavy, never cloying. So they're kind of perfect for summer weather, summer heat. You know, you can't go wrong with them, really. The only thing that I find about ESCADA fragrances is that they are rather generic, a little bit more performance than a body splash or a body spray, but they are really fun. So this one has sorbet, mandarin orange, and bergamot in the opening. The heart has bougainvillea or bougainvillea, not sure, some sort of floral that I've literally never heard of. Pink pepper and jasmine. And then the base has earthy notes. Now, without knowing the notes, what I smelt, and probably it was because I always hope for them to smell kind of mango-y, whatever, tropical. I didn't get anything that's on this list. Like, yes, I did get a bit of citrus, a bit of freshness, but I got coconut. So it felt almost like a coconut water to me. It was really linear. It's very light. So it goes on. It's, you know, kind of refreshing to begin with. Way less juicy than kind of a fresh, kind of almost clean, almost a little bit crispy, like crisp, clean coconut is what I got. Similar to something like a coconut fizz. It wasn't like coconut fizz, but kind of gave me that same sort of vibe. So I got coconut. I don't know if anyone else did. But it was nice enough, but it didn't knock my socks off. So, you know, if I wanted kind of a lighter, kind of fresh coconut fragrance, I'd go with Coconut Fizz by Guerlain. It projected for, I don't know, I'd say about an hour, and then it was more closer to the skin, and it lasted, I would say, 4 hours about. This would be one that I would probably pass on. Like, if you love ESCADA summer fragrances, it's not bad, but it certainly isn't one that I would gravitate towards. So yeah, for me, this one was a pass. That said, I can see people finding it appealing. It was like, sometimes ESCADA fragrances in the summer can be a lot more floral. This one wasn't floral. This one was definitely more seemingly fresh, a little bit coconutty feeling fragrance. So it was okay, nothing to write home about for sure. The next fragrance that I tried was Dylan Purple. Now, I have a small little mini bottle of the original Dylan. It's a very fresh, clean, shampoo-y vibed fragrance. There's the Dylan Turquoise. That one, again, to me feels fresh and clean. I prefer, I think, the Dylan Blue over the Dylan Turquoise. The Dylan Purple is a lot more juicy feeling, in my opinion. So I definitely got a lot of kind of juicy, mouth-watering notes, especially in the opening. It has pear, bitter, orange, and bergamot in the opening, and that's definitely, like, I got that, like, major burst of fruity, juicy mouth-wateringness, quite sweet. Then it has freesia, pomerose, and mahoinel. I've never, like, why are all these fragrances having weird florals that I've never heard of? So florals were in there. I mainly got the fruits, like I said. And then the base has quite a few notes. It has ambroxan, isoe super, silcolid, Virginian cedar, and Balambra tree. So really weird exotic notes. What is this silicada? It's actually silcolid. I looked it up and it's like a musky amber. So overall, really enjoyed the opening, super bright, juicy, awesome. And then it gets pretty generic from there. It didn't do it for me. It has that same fresh, clean kind of vibe. So it was nice enough. But again, longevity to me was rather poor. Now, maybe if I like really doused myself in it, I would find that the longevity was better, but it like I did notice it, but it was definitely weaker than a couple of the other ones that I tried. So this one, it was okay. If you're a Dylan fan, like the bottle is gorgeous. That purple is so pretty. It kind of looks more almost like a magenta purple. Or it looks like a cross between a purple and a magenta almost. So the bottle is beautiful. I've loved the Dylan blue bottles. But this one, it just doesn't do it for me. None of the Dylans do. So it was okay. If you like Dylan, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely, to me, a juicier version. So whereas Dylan Blue, I believe, has apple in it. So it's got that kind of Garnier, fruity, citrusy vibe to it. This one is definitely somehow a bit juicier, a bit more vibrant, a bit more playful. It's a bit of a departure from that super clean. You still get the clean, but it's definitely got a lot more juicy, fruity feel. If I didn't know better, I would think that it had some like juicy fruits in it. I guess it does, like with the pear and the orange and the bergamot, that's going to give that juicy feel, sweeter feel. So out of all three of the Dylans, this would definitely be my favorite, but still wouldn't be one that I would reach for. Now, so many of you have been telling me that I needed to try the Angel Nova EDT. So I own the EDP. I like it, but it's not one I gravitate towards a lot because it's just too strong. It's potent. It's kind of a little bit sour feeling for me. It gets very woody very fast. So it's not been one that I reach for very often. However, it usually gets me compliments. So it's definitely a beautiful fragrance. For whatever reason, I oftentimes will discount EDTs just because I never think that the performance is going to be that great. That said, with Mugler fragrances, the EDTs oftentimes are pretty decent. So I decided to give Angel Nova EDT a try because so many of you recommended it. I am in love with this fragrance. Like seriously, from the moment I put it on, I was in love. It is so awesome. So it has lychee and bergamot in the opening. The middle notes are rose and magnolia, and then the base has cedar and musk. So this is definitely a lot more pared back. So you're not getting the raspberry, although honestly, I feel like I was smelling a little bit of a raspberry feel. The rose in this, again, sometimes rose, sometimes it can smell fluffy or airy, or like sometimes if you pair rose with kind of a sweeter, fluffy feel, it feels like peony to me. So this feels like a peony, big, fluffy, kind of rose-like peony. So you're getting mainly that floral, but you get the beautiful lychee. I often wonder, like, what exactly does lychee smell? But I could definitely smell it in this one. So, you know, it's sweet. There's a little bit of tartness in there. It was just absolutely beautiful. So this one is very feminine. There's a sweetness to it. There's a fluffy kind of quality to the rose. It's very rose-centric. And then as it dries down, it gets a little bit more similar to Angel Nova as far as that woodiness with the cedar in it, but you still don't lose the lychee and that rose combination. So just that alone smells beautiful. To me, this smells like a wedding type fragrance. Like, I just think it's feminine. It's a little bit flirty. It's classy, very, very floral forward. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot believe I've never smelt it because it's amazing. So this is definitely full bottle worthy. I definitely want to add it to my collection. Definitely like it better than Angel Nova EDP. Even though EDP has the raspberry, it's just not near as nice a fragrance. So I find Angel Nova EDP to be harsh, a little bit screechy, quite synthetic. I find the EDT to be like sweet and airy and voluminous somehow. Just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. To me, they are so different. So the EDP to me is kind of like the party girl, the girl that never shuts up. The EDT is the quiet, demure, classy one. I'm pretty sure that I'm more like the EDP in real life, but I want to smell like the EDT. So that one, majorly full bottle worthy for sure. You gotta sniff it. Oh, the other thing that I want to say is, since I did my last video last week talking about Yum, I had many, many people come back and comment saying that the longevity improves. So as the fragrance macerates, the longevity gets better and better. So that was actually really encouraging to me because I can't stop thinking about the smell. Those of you that were put off on the performance, that's something to consider. I have no experience with it, so I can't say, but like there's probably about 4 or 5 different people that mentioned that their longevity got better and better, and they think that they couldn't smell it anymore, and then all of a sudden they'd get a whiff of the fragrance. So yeah, just thought I'd bring that to you guys. The next fragrance that I tried was Dolce & Gabbana's Q. I think it's just called Q. So it's got this weird crown on the bottle. It looks like something from a different era. Like, it doesn't really look like a current bottle with that crown. That said, I kind of like the crown. Maybe because I wish I could wear a crown. I wouldn't mind wearing a crown all the time, to be honest. The top notes on Q are Sicilian lemon, blood orange, and jasmine. The heart has cherry and heliotrope, and the base has musk and cedar. So I looked on Fragrantica, and a lot of people found this fragrance to be quite fresh and citrus forward. I didn't find it citrus forward. I didn't find it overly fresh either. I found it, to be honest, kind of like, it was kind of juicy. At first I'm like, ooh, I think I like this, because I'm kind of a juicy fruit lover. So at first I'm like, ooh, this smells really good. And I think it's probably the blood orange that I was getting. And then it just kind of dissipates. I don't get any cherry at all. What I get is kind of a floral, feels a bit mature, honestly. So I need to try this one a few more times. It was definitely intriguing. It wasn't like your typical kind of tropical summer type fragrance. It didn't feel fresh to me. The descriptors on this fragrance are citrus, musky, powdery, woody, cherry, sweet, and aromatic. I didn't really find that at all. What I found was that it was a little bit sweet and juicy to begin with. Then it got quite floral, juicy, but felt a little bit mature. Like this wasn't a lighthearted fragrance. I can see that it would be, I think, a little bit sexy. I kind of want to try it again because I'm intrigued by it. Some fragrances, it takes me a little while longer. I didn't find that it was a long-lasting fragrance on me. I found that it was about 3-4 hours max. Oh, that's the other thing. With the Angel Nova EDT, I got really excellent projection, really excellent whatever for about 5 hours. And then it dissipated quite quickly. Whereas Angel Nova, it's on there for like 10. So it was moderate. This Q, I would say, is less than moderate. So it definitely didn't last as long as some other, basically for me, it seemed like it lasted about as long as the ESCADA one. So mediocre, like that's the best that I can do for it. It was okay. I want to try it again because it was a little bit intriguing and I didn't quite get it felt a little bit like a mosh fragrance. Like some fragrances just feel like they're smashed together. And so you don't really even know what you're smelling. Now that said, I've felt that way about the only one. I felt that way about several Dolce & Gabbana fragrances, and Dolce & Gabbana actually has some of my favorite fragrances. So yeah, it's hard to say. I'll try it again and get back to you on my thoughts, but for now it would be a no. The last fragrance that I tried was Coach Dreams Sunset. Now, I kind of have always steered clear of Coach fragrances as well because they're so generic. Yeah, like I'm not a fan, although I know lots of people really love those fragrances. But what caught me was the bottle. So I just really, really loved the way that bottle looked. Like I just thought it was so gorgeous. So I had to try it. The notes kind of shocked me. It has pear ice cream and bergamot in the opening. The heart has jasmine, sambac, and magnolia, and the base has vanilla and tonka. So that shocked me because it honestly felt like mangoes, and probably I thought mango because of the color of the bottle. So fragrance is so subjective, and yeah, you kind of smell what you want to smell in a fragrance. So I certainly didn't get pear. Definitely got some brightness, some tartness. But it felt kind of like, I would say, a mango sorbet, not super mango, but a little bit tropically feeling. And again, maybe that's because that's what I was wanting to smell. Now, really loved the opening on this. I was pleasantly surprised. Loved the juicy factor. It was bright. It was a little bit like sometimes openings on fragrances like this can be a little bit sharp. So there's a bit of sharpness, but overall it was really juicy and bright and joyous and awesome. As it dried down, it got a little weird for about half an hour. So I'm like, this has gone funky on me. And I'm like, ugh, I think that's a pass. It smelled like overripe mango kind of feel. Like somehow it just went overripe and smelled a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit rotting. Like every once in a while fragrances go like, it's almost like they're turning on me. And then it's somehow straightened out and got a lot more bright again and juicy and warm. Then with that tonka and the vanilla, it warmed it up. And my guess is it's like it was that transition between the juicy, bright, and the vanilla and tonka kind of coming up. So in between those stages, it got a little funky to me. That said, I was really impressed with the longevity on this one. So this one lasted as long as Angel Nova EDT, so about 5 hours. It was on the skin, it projected nicely. I liked the fact that this one developed and changed as I wore it. So this was actually a hit for me. I don't know if I would buy a full bottle because somehow, well, I'd have to try it again, but it was definitely one, like I've thought about it and I'm like, ooh, I think I actually want this one because it was just bright, juicy, kind of an easy reach type fragrance. So you know those, so the Dylan fragrances are more those clean, fresh, you know, kind of tart, whatever fragrances. This was tart. It was kind of had that clean, fruity vibe. So out of the shower, fruity, fresh. Those are real major easy reaches for people. So I can see a lot of people really, really enjoying this fragrance. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it enough that I would want to purchase it at this time, but I'm definitely going to go back and try it again. And who knows? My definite no's are Dylan Purple and Santorini Sunrise. Those are I'm out for. But you should still check them out, like sniff them, because they weren't bad fragrances. They're just not for me. Dolce & Gabbana Q, that one's just weird. I'm going to have to smell it again because it's weird. Angel Nova EDT, it's an absolute yes. I have to have that one in my collection. And the Coach Dreams Sunset, that one I'm going to revisit. I can see a lot of people really going, and I definitely would recommend that one from a longevity perspective, celebratory, juicy perspective, great fragrance. Just not sure it's quite me. So I'm going to revisit that one again. So 2 absolute no's, 1 for sure, 1 E, and then 1, I don't know what it was. So I'm going to have to try it again. Hope that's helpful. What about you? Have you tried any of these fragrances? If you have, Please weigh in, tell me what you think. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week and we'll talk to you soon.